You're recording now?
I'm recording.
Okay. Well, that marks a significant milestone then, doesn't it?
Is it? We've always wanted to do this.
This is the time. Right? You just pressed the record button for the very first time and it's happened.
This is the beginning of a new empire. I would say.
Okay. I was thinking more like kingdom or
okay, so like less more
cult, actually. Probably.
Okay, cult. We're going cult. Okay.
Actually, maybe we stick away from cult. But
welcome. To half-baked takes.
Okay.
Half-baked takes.
Okay, so we're no more build up, just boom.
Oh, no.
There it is.
Well, we can build up more if you want.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
no, that's great.
That is the title.
It is the title. I
assume people would have already seen the title though by the time they're listening.
True. If you've clicked on this, you know what the podcast
that's like
is called.
saying someone saying, I won $10,000 in a lottery on a YouTube video, and then they spend the entire YouTube video saying, oh, I don't know how much I'm going to get. Like, you know how much they're getting. Like, don't put it in the title if you're going to make it a thing in the video. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because people already know what it's about.
Right. You have to go into a YouTube video knowing that what you're putting in the title people see before they even see the video.
Right. That's just common knowledge.
Well, but it seems like it's not.
Because people do it.
Because people do that.
Right.
I feel like, okay, we got to find an example.
Yeah, search up an example for us.
Yeah.
By the way.
We don't have an editor, so we have to do the work ourselves.
Well, okay, I'm the editor, by the way.
You're also a host.
We're co-hosts, though, right?
Well, I mean, if you're the editor, then I guess I'm the primary host. And then you're kind of like the sub-host. You know?
Okay, well, I don't like that as much as co-host. Let's go with co-host.
Well, okay, well, sure.
So,
potato.
With podcasts like these, I always struggle with who are the voices, you know, like who's talking.
Sure. Especially
for new podcasts, this is our first episode.
Yeah. And
so it's helpful to know who's talking, right?
Yeah. And if people don't know our faces, they're constructing this idea of what we look like.
Right.
You know, like I was watching CGP Grey videos, and I imagined him to in real life be a stick figure, which turns out not what he looks like. And there's like 4 photos of him on the internet, period, of what he looks like.
Right.
And when I saw him, I'm like, oh, that's what he looks like. Right. You know,
right.
Have you seen?
I've seen what he looks like. Yeah, I'm not a CGP Grey face. What is it called?
Connoisseur?
No, not connoisseur.
Connoisseur.
When you don't want to see it, like
hater or like.
No, not hater. It's like
you don't have disdain for his face.
Right.
Features.
I'm not CGP Grey face spoiler exclusive. Like it's not like I.
Like you spend time trying to pursue photos of his face. As
right.
a hobby.
I did a couple times.
As a hobby? That was like a thing.
Well, it was like a 2-time thing.
Okay. But like it wasn't like a big deal. You just looked it up.
Right. I just like, oh, what does this guy look like? Mm-hmm. And I too thought, oh, he's going to be kind of tall.
Right.
And he's going to be really skinny.
And not glasses though.
And he has glasses in his videos.
Oh, that's true.
So I thought he was going to have glasses.
I guess that was kind of a cognitive dissonance for me.
Anyway, my point is
I'm listening.
I'm Tennyson, and that over there is Luke. Can you say something, Luke?
Hi, my name is Luke. Now, you said that I'm over there, but we're like 2 feet, well, not 2 feet, but like 3 feet apart.
Okay.
So I'm not very far away from you.
Over there, see, I can't touch you
unless you put out your hand right now.
You could touch my hand.
There you go. There. You guys heard that for sure.
That was a smackaroo.
That was a smackaroo. Now, okay, we're getting far off because I'm sure you're wondering what the heck half-baked takes even means.
Right. And would you like to explain what half-baked takes is?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So if it's not clear, we have, we here at the Half-Baked Take Studio, we've got takes, we don't got hot takes because some of our takes they're like they came out of the freezer, right? They're cold. They're not great at all, right?
Right.
But sometimes we got the nice takes. So sometimes you got those takes and sometimes you're just half-baked. And what we want to do is we want to be real up front. We want to be real about what we got here,
I feel you.
And we got half-baked takes, They're not going to be super spicy. Sometimes they will be, right? But that's what you get, And sometimes they're going to be real freezing cold and just like terrible.
If you think about it, if you want an analogy here, it's like if you're baking chocolate chip cookies, right? And what you're going to get is if you take them out of the oven 10 minutes in when they're supposed to bake for 20, you're going to get a soggy, mushy cookie.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you want that. Sometimes you're in the mood for a soggy, mushy cookie, but sometimes you're not.
Mm.
And so that's kind of what you're going to get here.
Yeah. So that's what we got to offer. That's kind of like our disclaimer, right? We don't offer crazy, but I think
Right.
what the kind of style that we're going to do is we're going to like have a subject and sort of do like a top 10 type thing. It's not going to be necessarily 10 exactly or in necessary order, but we're going to look at like actually no, it's going to be 10 because we said top 10. Are we doing top 10?
Top 10-ish.
So it could be
Approximately
9.
over
This is
under,
the whole point, right? It's loose, it's half baked.
Right.
It's not designed. We spent about 5 minutes doing any sort of preparation. It was just screw it, we're starting.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. We just pressed record and now we're here.
That's where we're at. So what are we kind of gonna have half baked takes about today? T. Jennison, what are we looking at for our takes today?
All right. So for episode 1, we thought we'd start off with a banger.
Okay.
You know,
Not too much of a banger though.
not too much of a
That would
banger.
ruin
You
the
know,
point.
we're not gonna peak in our first episode because no one wants to do that.
Right. Oh wait. Did you say first episode?
First episode, yeah.
So this is not just a one-time thing. You're saying this is gonna.
Oh no. If you're under the listener,
Oh man.
listener, if you're under the assumption,
Yeah.
and I pity you if you are, that this is our only episode, you are sadly mistaken because this is hopefully, as we said,
Yeah.
built into a kingdom.
Exactly.
A kingdom.
So if you had that misconception, we got to clear that up right now. First of all, before we even get into this, I'm going to move my mouth away from the mic because if you ever watched, our YouTube videos, so shameless plug, Foreheads on YouTube, we've made a lot of just honestly all inspiring content.
Link in the description,
We're gonna okay. Well, now that requires more work after this, but
which I will do, but it's fine.
he's gonna do because I'm anyway. So I peak all the time, and there's times in the videos where it just ruins all the mic quality altogether. So we're gonna change that in this, and it's gonna be better.
Exactly.
So did you even say what what our topic is?
Well, I was about to before
Okay.
we went on
Okay.
a number of
All right,
tangents, which
watch it.
will be fairly common on this podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
We are starting with top 10 strangest Bible verses.
Uh huh.
Roughly top 10.
It's roughly
10 or so.
Uh huh.
As you know, if you're listening, if you've read the Bible, if you've studied the Bible, there can be some interesting verses,
Exactly.
some that don't quite make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, in our extensive knowledge, theological knowledge, we are
Absolutely.
going to try to break down some of these.
Yeah, we are really like leading authorities on biblical theology, text,
I would say so.
current events. So I think it's safe to say that if you're listening, you know that we're trustworthy and that what we have to say is gospel. I I can't say it much of a different
Of
way.
course. We're not adding to the Bible. We are just mere
Absolutely.
interpreters.
But we're also correct in our interpretations.
Exactly.
We're not incorrect is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I think you kind of had a few here already. I think we might even find more as we do this, but
For sure.
yeah, let's get started.
All right. So, starting off with a banger here.
Okay.
Do you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Job 10:10.
Well, that's just powerful. Just to think about what that really could be implying, right? Well, why don't you just say that one more time for us, just soak in and receive that text.
Okay, really marinate on this time.
Yeah.
Do you not pour me out like milk
Wow.
and curdle me like cheese? Job 10:10.
Okay, the reference kind of loses me, but so I mean, okay, so this is a relatable verse, right? You said this is Job 10:10. Let me pull this up on my 4,000.
Of course, with the Bible, you have to look at the context.
Right.
You can't just take
That's-
a single verse and
Exactly.
expect it to make sense all on its own.
Okay, so if I read Job 10:10 in the New Living Translation, it just says, "You guided my conception and formed me in the womb." So is that what he's saying here? That's kind of weird. I don't like that. Okay, let's take a step back, right? And let's just appreciate this for what it is. So God pours us out like milk.
It
and
sounds to
curdles
me like
us-
hold on. It sounds like to me like we have a wrong reference here.
Do we do?
This can't be Job 10.
No, it is Job 10:10 in the ESV. It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So that means that the bold writers of the NLT are making serious interpretations about what this is saying. But of
Okay,
course,
'cause-
as we know, our interpretations are correct.
Of course.
And what I think this is, I'm actually going to disagree with what
Really?
people then. Yep.
All right.
And I think that this is God's attribute as a dairy farmer.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think there's an element here that we miss, you know,
Okay.
because obviously God created the world that we have, and he also created cows, and henceforth, and I did say henceforth, created cheese and milk as well. And I think this is just an appreciate, you know, or maybe we just appreciate the verse for what it is, you know.
I think so. I like that. I like that take on it.
Yeah.
The interpretation, the parallel between the conception and the forming of the womb with the milk and the curdling of cheese.
I don't like that actually anymore. That's making me uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a little squeamish. I think it's time to move on to our next.
I think
our
that's
next
probably a good
verse.
idea. We don't want to dwell on these too long.
Exactly.
Okay. So I think you had another one here, right? Another one for us.
I do. Comes from Song of Solomon.
Okay.
Unknown verse.
Always dangerous.
Always
Song of
dangerous.
Solomon territory.
Song of Solomon.
But that's what we're doing here, right? Number 2.
Exactly.
Song of
We are
Solomon.
not afraid to attack the more edgy parts of the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the
believe
more
me, there is.
the more abstract.
Right.
So it comes from Song of Solomon. Your neck is like the Tower of David.
Wow.
Constructed in layers.
Now, what we got to do first, right? When I think of necks, I don't think of layers, to be fair. However, I'm looking up the Tower of David. And if you take a look at the Tower of David, it is like, that looks nothing like a neck. It looks absolutely nothing like a neck. But I think that's kind of like that symbolic beauty that he brings here. When you think of someone's, think of someone's neck that you just think about a neck that you really like. I
Sure.
can think about a neck that I like. For instance,
I can think of a good
like
neck.
Candace from Phineas and Ferb, fantastic neck.
Great neck.
Like that's
Top-
a pog
S-tier
neck. Yeah, exactly. S tier neck. We should do it. We should do tiers like that. Okay.
Definitely. Future episode.
I mean that is that is the Tower of David, right? If you look at the Tower of David, that is like Candace's neck.
Oh, it's got some height.
It's got some length to it.
length.
Yeah.
For sure. When this is interesting because
Yeah.
when I think of neck and when I think of layers, I don't think of a neck, with layers.
Uh-huh.
I think of a tree.
Yeah.
I think of a tree with layers.
Oh, are you thinking like concentric layers or like stacked layers? Because I'm thinking stacked layers.
You're thinking
like a
stacked layers. Oh,
cake.
this is interesting. See
I'm
that?
thinking, okay, look at
We
the,
both have different interpretations.
Wow, this is really phenomenal. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking concentric layers, like as in a tree, as in
wow.
the rings build on each other.
Wow. Like starting with the spine and then like the spinal column moving out
Right.
as you progress.
Right. And that would kind of make sense with the neck.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's circular and, layers build out.
Well, if we look at the Tower of David, and I'm just literally going off this first photo I find when I search it on the internet, which is definitely the safest bet. It is stacked, So perhaps there is an element of a neck that we should maybe there's an element to because I feel like if you're gonna measure it concentrically, then you're talking about width rather than height.
Right.
Like that, that mug shot of that guy that has like an absolutely massive neck.
The thick
Yeah,
bone
like
neck.
the took the internet by storm type of neck.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that the kind of neck that we're talking about? Because that is, if we're talking about what verse is that again?
Song of Solomon, unknown verse. Someone, one of our listeners, feel free to figure out that, or Luke
it's
might.
It's Song of Solomon 4:4.
Okay, there we go. Never mind.
Your neck is like the Tower of David, built with courses of stone. On it hang 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. That just makes it weirder. Honestly, makes it worse.
Well, you know what? Here we're trying to interpret the weird ones, right? These are weird.
Correct. Yes.
These are very weird.
So when we're talking about hanging thousands of shields and all of them are shields of warriors, that means that upon their neck, it's like a guarded neck, and there's element of power and strength, but also discipline within the neck. And I can't make the connection whatsoever. But
That's interesting. No, I like that. I think I like this. I like this parallel between the neck.
do you?
And
Do you?
it is a parallel.
It is.
It is a parallel
I guess.
between a neck and kind of the spiritual, like Tower of David. can be like equated with God almost,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of God's two crazy creations, like amazing creations,
Mm-hmm.
a neck and the Tower of David.
Absolutely. Wow. I think we've kind of covered that.
Yeah, we don't want to beat a dead horse.
We did,
here.
absolutely. So I think we move on to our third, a third verse here, which I found 2 Kings 2:23-24. So you want to turn there with us, which you should definitely be doing, right?
Have your Bibles out, by the way. It'd be very helpful
Please.
here.
And if you're driving, pull over and 2 Kings 2:23-24 says, "He went up from there to Bethel, and while he was going up on the way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him, saying, 'Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head.' And he turned around, and when he saw them, he cursed them in the name of the Lord. And 2 she-bears," I don't know what a she-bear is, but it's here. 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the boys." So basically, these young men were mocking Elisha.
Mm-hmm.
And, so really, Elisha was a representation of God to the people. It was almost as if those boys were like mocking God, right?
Right.
And that is, they felt God's wrath from that
Exactly.
in the form of 2 she-bears. So the question is, what is a she-bear? I think that's we got to define first. And if it's just female bears, which why don't they just say bears? Because
Right.
I mean, get woke, Bible.
Well,
right?
it's interesting because you look at different translations of this, and the NLT says two bears.
There. Okay. All right. So maybe we just gotta get.
But
have
then the
beef with
amplified version
Okay. I think we should go to the message next.
says 2 female bears. So I think
Okay.
a she bear is just a female bear.
So then I'm just getting annoyed for no reason. Can you look it up in the message? Can we? Because
The message has some interesting translations.
but that's kind of what we're here for, right?
exactly. It just says 2 bears.
2 bears.
Two
Okay.
bears.
All right. Well, I think then we can probably move on from that point because
I think we should leave the bears.
yeah. So I think we gotta deconstruct this a little bit and look at the phrase "Go up, you bald head." Like, where are they telling him to go?
Go up, you bald head.
Like,
is it just the head part that's supposed to go up?
I don't
or
like. Did they want his head to go up?
just the baldness.
Yeah. Did they want
is he
him
suffering from male pattern baldness?
They want to improve in baldness? And also, why such a vigorous response to being called bald? I mean, was
Right.
Elisha just that insecure about his hair?
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because does he like spawn the bears and then
Well, he doesn't
Try to-
spawn the bears.
right?
They came out of the woods.
So Elisha, I picture him just like walking and getting jeered at, and then he keeps on walking, and then the bears come. So it seems like kind of extreme
Yeah,
for just like a petty insult
for just a petty
for
insult.
them to be killed.
But then again, it's not only rude to the prophet; it's also rude to the Lord. And those boys knew, right? They knew what was good.
Elisha was a pretty like
Big
prominent
deal.
character at that
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Like our podcast is in the podcast community. But
Amen to that.
so I don't know whether it's Elisha's insecurity about his head or what else, whatever we were just talking. But regardless, those bears went a little nutso on those 42.
A little sicko mode.
A little sick, absolutely. And I'm assuming that probably one of them was like holding like a bear cub or something. So they all just.
All right. Well, I think we've covered that one.
That's probably been covered enough. Yeah.
Do you want to read our next one for us?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do we not have any others left? Are we already?
I have one here. I was.
Do we have a top 10 list and we're done
deciding.
after 3?
Well,
Is that what this is?
Well, we're already 20 minutes in,
Okay.
so
So maybe we
Depending
just
how
make it
long-
5 for this first episode.
we could just make it 5.
I think we probably go
that's
with
a
5.
solid idea.
We kind of we take it slow. We take it in slow.
Exactly. Step by step.
Absolutely.
Okay. Something this is one that is kind of familiar to us and to our listeners, probably familiar. I don't know. It comes from Judges 3:21-22. It says, Ehud plunged the sword into the king's belly. Even the handle sank in after the blade, and the king's fat closed in around it.
Wow.
A lot here. There's a lot here to
And that's it,
to
right?
dive into, and that's all we get from 21-22 Judges 3.
I mean, the imagery is phenomenal. I think that's just the most obvious takeaway from this. I mean, you could view it clear as day in your head.
Oh, for sure. I can picture the fat closing in around that blade as it is
Yeah.
plunged into the king's belly.
Now, can you continue on actually? Because I feel like this story there's more to this story that we could actually look at here.
I feel like there is. All right. So just to give some context for this.
All right.
Eglon is the king of Moab.
Eglon.
Okay. Tough name, by the way. He's the king of Moab. He was a very fat man, right? And Ehud doesn't like this guy.
No.
For unspecified reasons.
Well, I mean, he's the judge, so probably God told him to do that.
There you go. That's why we have two people on this podcast. When one of them doesn't know some information.
The correct theology all day.
Exactly.
We're here for it.
He says, I have a message for you, O king. And he commanded silence. And all his attendants went out from his presence. And Ehud came to him. Coming out. That was a different thing. Ehud came to him as he was sitting alone in his cool roof chamber. And Ehud said, I have a message from God for you. And he arose from his seat. And Ehud reached with his left hand, took the sword from his right thigh, and thrust it into his belly. So Ehud,
he's like
he plays him. He plays the king.
Yeah, man. This is the John Wick of the Bible. He's like got all the tricks.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I guarantee you, he would have had contingencies for this. If the blade didn't work, he would have pulled out
he would have had stuff.
He would have had a 22 millimeter there.
Yeah,
ready.
Or he would have had like a pencil,
Or a pencil. That works.
Yeah. Or like a,
boomerang. I don't know. What do they have?
Yeah. Or didgeridoo, which is not a weapon. But he could figure it out. Regardless, he has a dagger, a sword?
He has a dagger.
A dagger.
Dagger.
How does a dagger?
Sorry, sword.
A full sword.
A full sword.
Got a full sword in his thigh.
I'm thinking this thing. How is he storing this sword in his right thigh?
Is that the
how
most
is this
important
fitting?
thing? Okay. So regardless, the whole thing goes in though, handle and all.
The whole thing,
right? The whole thing's in there. Does he die? I mean, what happens after that?
He has to die. I think he does.
I feel like I remember reading that his entrails came out afterwards.
Right. So if we read the ESV here, for he did not pull the sword out of his belly, and the dung came out. The dung.
The dung?
The dung. D-U-N-G as in poop.
Huh? So he opened his stomach?
He opened
his intestines.
That's what I'm reading.
What? I do not remember this whatsoever. Okay, give me the verse.
Judges 3:21-22.
My goodness. The dung came out?
The dung came out. I don't know. This has to be different for different translations. Because I remember seeing entrails too.
Oh no! So the dung did not come out of the belly. Okay, so why are we talking about this? Even the handle sank in after the blade, and his bowels discharged. So he pooped his pants. Is what happened.
Okay.
So he was shocked so much by the dagger fully inside of his belly.
Right. He convulsed and pooped himself.
Interesting. He pooped his tunic.
Right.
Yeah. And he did not even pull the sword out. And then he went to the porch. He shut the doors up and locked it behind him. He was able to get away by basically saying he's, using the bathroom and escape. Wow. So
this
really
is a crazy story.
Kind of a traumatic experience for Ehud, I think.
It is, right?
To stab someone that hard. Yeah.
Right. He has to witness this, right? He has to live with this. The
question is how he knows that he pooped his tunic. Like, how does he know this? Like, if the guy was that fat, right? I'm assuming like the belly is just like
covering everything.
Right. It's like, so like his basically the belly is at like the knees or like lower thighs region. He's not seeing anything that could remotely know about this discharged bowels. So what did he like after he stabbed him? Like just take a gander? I mean, or did he just know? Like, did he hear it? Was it like an audio thing?
Well, I think it had to be auditory a little bit.
Surely.
And I think when you're that fat, I mean, I'm not fat shaming anyone.
No, certainly. No, and that's not the point.
I'm not fat myself. I wouldn't call myself fat.
Well,
when you have that much body weight, I think there has to be a significant amount of discharge that has to happen, right?
Oh, so you think it's just pure mass?
Right. So I'm thinking just input output. Like the output has to somewhat be close.
It has to be substantial.
Right. It has to be a lot.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we're diving into this, and I think there's also definitely an element of sense of smell. So I think between sense of smell, hearing, and just logic, especially depending on the way the guys, because I mean, when you think of a king sitting, or like this guy, he's slouching, right?
Oh yeah.
So it would
Terrible posture.
like his like neck is on the back of the chair,
right.
beside and he's not in a great
His BMI has got to be
out the wazoo.
up
really.
there.
Okay,
Up there.
I think that's probably enough of this one. I think we can move on to our, what is it? Was that our fourth?
That was our fourth one,
Okay,
I think. All right.
I think we're gonna leave it at 5 today, and I'll bring the closer, the ringer for this one.
All right, finish us out, Luke.
We're gonna look at Ezekiel 4:14 and 15. So that goes, "Then I said, not so, sovereign Lord. I have never defiled myself. From my youth until now, I have never eaten anything found dead or torn by wild animals. No impure meat has ever entered my mouth." And then verse 15, "Very well," he said, "I will let you bake your bread over cow dung instead of human excrement." So, a lot of the time when we talk about the Bible, we look at old verses like this and we say, well, that was relevant then, but there's still something to be taken for today, that we can take something out of this and apply it today. And I have no idea what that is. So I guess I'm going to ask you about how baking bread over cow dung instead of human excrement really can apply to our lives and give us can influence us today. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think with a lot of these verses, it's not a literal, like, one-to-one translation with our lives.
Sure.
So I think this can be analogous
Good word.
to, I would say the cow dung represents gluten-free bread,
Okay.
and the human dung represents glutinous bread, as in cow dung bread is not as good, right?
So they had been baking their bread over
They were breaking their bread over human dung
excrement, and
first.
then God allowed. Wait, no, is it God that allowed them, or is it Ezekiel? Let's just say it's God. Okay.
This one's off to a rough start.
Let's just say it's God. Okay. Let's just assume it's God here.
Okay.
And God is allowing these people to bake the bread over cow dung. Okay, instead of their own.
Right.
So that basically what we have to say here is that God had a system in which you baked bread over your own, and then created a system through which we could bake bread over a sacrifice dung. And I think that's really that is the story, right?
That is.
God providing a way for us to, in our own excrement that we had to use to sort of keep ourselves alive, that we could separate ourselves from that and rather use a sacrifice, knowing that we still need to use something foul, because that is just who we are as broken people, but that we could use something else and in that way approach sanctification and holiness.
That's really deep. I mean, it sounds like a really neat parallel to salvation.
Yeah.
As in, we were dead
In our human excrement.
right, /sin,
Right.
and we were rescued
And raised to life
by Jesus /cow dung.
cow dung. Okay. Well, I don't know if we should. That feels kind of sacrilegious to me, but
Is it sacrilegious?
I mean, are
Maybe.
we okay?
Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of analogies in the Bible can be kind of rough, but ultimately, what this cow dung is, it's giving us life. I think what it is the crucifixion of Christ, which is the cow dung. Something ugly, and it's death, and it's gross.
Oh, interesting.
But
I think that's better.
But it allows us to save ourselves from our own death,
Right.
or our own excrement. I like that we're talking a lot about excrement in this episode.
There's
This
a
is
lot of
good start.
A lot of number 2.
A lot of number 2, a lot of dookie.
If you don't want to hear this, then you should still stick around,
Because next episode will
next
be much
episode
better.
is going to be another banger here.
But regardless, I think that's probably a good place to end on. That's we took it somewhere of value.
We took it somewhere. It went somewhere. That's for
okay.
sure.
I probably shouldn't say a value. That's right. It's went somewhere. But yeah, so that's our top 5 questionable Bible verses. Maybe in the future we'll come back, take a look at more Bible verses. I'm not
Definitely.
sure. Of course, if you want to suggest any to us to look at, we're more than happy to review your Bible verses that you
Definitely.
think are worth reviewing with our correct theology and impeccable interpretation. We're here for that. That's what we're here to do.
Definitely.
So yeah, I want to thank you guys for joining us. This was
Thank you so much. This has been a joy
really
to really discuss this. I would say I think this is available on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's available anywhere else
Yep. Well,
because we're kind of cheap.
Are we? Do you have to pay?
You don't have to pay to get it just on Spotify. I think you have to pay to get it
Like on Apple
other
Podcasts?
places. Apple Podcasts, right?
Dang, man.
So-
Well, I mean, when we make a Patreon,
Sure.
then we'll be able to produce that.
Exactly. I would say, can you leave reviews on Spotify? You can also like put in suggestions there.
Yeah.
Or those of you who know us directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people,
the majority of people know us directly, right?
But when we get to the point where obviously our audience will far surpass that individual just within our own community of people that we know, then we'll get a business email together and we'll take care of that.
Sure,
We'll take care of what needs to be taken
We'll get
care
our
of.
act together when it.
I also am looking forward to bringing some guests on. I know we already have some thoughts for some guests to bring on here. That's already in the works.
Definitely.
So yeah, we've got a whole slate of things lined up, and we're glad we could start off with such a great start to this series. So
It's gonna be fun. It's
absolutely.
gonna be fun.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and just take a listen to this fantastic outro music.
Oh, this is so good.
And just
Oh wow.
wow,
Oh, I love this.
this is just good, man.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. I hope you guys are jamming out to this as much as we are. Definitely listening to this live right now. We're definitely hearing this as well. So yeah, just have a good one and take care.
Peace out.